Hello there and welcome to Black Jackal Gaming. Space Marines have a couple of indirect fire, but we have one vehicle that is a specialist in it. We're going to take a look at its outline shooting. It's got a good mid-strength AP weapon that can take on a lot of options. It does have a hunter-killer missile for a one-shot anti-tank option. It's relatively cheap when you look at it. It does have a nice little battle shock ability that can come into play, but it is affected by the negatives to do with the indirect rule. It comes with your pretty standard Rhino chassis. That's movement 10, toughness 10, wounds 10, is a 3-up save, leadership 6 and objective control 3. So it's quite nice if you can get it to sit on objective somewhere. It takes a little bit of extra models in there to try and shift it off. It comes with a Stormbolter as standard. This is rapid fire 2. It starts off with 2 attacks, so it can go up to 4, strength 4, no AP, damage 1. It does have the one-shot hunter-killer missile. Now this is not indirect, so you have to be able to see your target. It's 48 inches, it's one shot. It does come with a very nice ballistic skill 2 though. It's strength 14, minus 3 AP and D6 damage. So if there are any tougher targets that are starting to peek out and try and get a beeline on him to take him out, you can target them with this and do a lot of damage just to make it think twice about targeting you. And then we've got the Whirlwind Vengeance Launcher. Now this has the blast and indirect keyword, so the blast gives it +1 attack for every 5 models in a unit, and the indirect allows it to shoot to targets that it cannot see. It's got 72 inches of range, it can cover the majority of the board. It has D6 plus 3 attacks, it's strength 8, so it's that sweet spot to wound Space Marines on 2s. It's minus 2 AP and 2 damage, so it really is geared towards basically taking out Space Marines and models of that ilk. Your toughness for 2 wound models, this guy's going to be quite good at punching through their armor. Because it is indirect, it does give you -1 to your ballistic skill, and the target you're targeting does get benefits of cover, so that does really start to negate its ability if you aren't buffing it at the same time. But it is there just to do a little bit of chip damage away to things if someone's got some toughness 3 options just sitting on a back objective that you can't really see. This is quite a good option just to move them off. It's got a standard deadly demise ability of D3, so if it's targeted and it explodes on a roll of a 6, any models within 6 inches of this unit will take D3 mortal wounds. It does have an ability called Pinning Bombardment. Now what this does, any unit that you've targeted and you successfully hit, if it's an infantry unit, that unit must take a battle shock test. So if you're going second and it's coming to turn 5 and you're maybe contesting an objective or you're just slightly losing it, since you score your primary at the end of the round, you could make one of the units take a battle shock test, one of the enemy units, and if they fail it, they're then going to be on 0 OC, flipping that objective and scoring you extra points. Now there are some buffs you can give to the Whirlwind to make it a little bit more efficient or stand around for a little bit longer, so we'll go through some of the well used ones in the game at the moment. So first up, your Tech Marine is going to be the guy that buffs everything. He's going to give it +1 to the hit rolls, which is going to negate some of the indirect fire negatives, so you will still be hitting on 3s rather than getting pushed to 4s. And he does have the ability to heal the Whirlwind as well, just in case you do suffer a bit of indirect fire or someone managed to get a line on you and put some damage. There's the standard armor of contempt, that's across all of the different detachments. This reduces incoming AP by 1. So the main task force that you can use, the main detachment, Gladys Task Force, the one that come in the index, you get the standard Oaths a Moment for that, so you get to reroll the hits. So if you don't have a Tech Marine, it boosts your ability to push through some wounds onto your opponent. You then have the Storm of Fire stratagem to go with that. Now this allows you to ignore cover, which again negates some of the negatives for having indirect fire, and it gives you an additional AP if you're in the Devastator Doctrine, which is quite nice that you'd then be on -3, ignoring cover. So if you don't have the Tech Marine, you are going to be hitting on 4s, but you might possibly have that as your Oath a Moment target. Anyway, you're going to dramatically increase the efficiency of the unit just by having these rerolls or using Storm of Fire. The next one is the Anvil Siege Force. Now this gives all units the heavy keyword on their weapons. So when you remain stationary, you get +1 to your hit roll. So again, this negates the indirect negative that you get. And then if you pair him up with a Tech Marine, you're actually going to be boosting down to 2s, because he'll start on 4, he'll go down to 3s. Sorry, he'll start on 3s, he'll go down to 2. It will then be pushed back onto his 3s, and then it'll go down to 2 again because of the Tech Marine. So especially if you've got your Alpha Moment target. So this allows you really to have a lot of accurate hitting with this unit. You then have the option of using the stratagem No Threat Too Good, which if you're against a monster or a vehicle unit, you get to reroll the wound roll. Then you can pull the Battle Drill, which gives you sustained 1s, and if you are stationary, on a critical hit of 5. So you've got your D6 +3 shots plus blast, and your critical hitting on a 5+. So any 5+ will have sustained 1s, meaning you are going to have a lot of sustained hits coming in, especially if you remain stationary and you've got a Tech Marine and you're hitting on 2s. That means that you've just got a great chance of rolling these 6. Then you have the Hail of Vengeance stratagem. This allows you, when you've been targeted by an opposition unit, if you die, you get to shoot back as if it is your turn. Finally, we have the Ironstorm Spearhead. Their detachment rule gives you the ability to reroll a hit, wound, or damage roll per unit on the battlefield. You have an enhancement that you can give to a Tech Marine called the Target Augury Web. This is a 6-inch aura that gives lethal hits for all units within that aura. So you will be on a roll of a 6, you will be getting lethal hits on your D6 +3 shots. Then there's a couple of strats you can use. First one being Mercy's Weakness. When you are against a half strength unit, you get sustained 1. And if you're a vehicle unit, which you are, you will get sustained hits on a 5+. So like the Battle Drill, you get the ability to really get a lot of efficiency in your Whirlwind. If you're potentially hitting on 2s or 3s and you're getting sustained hits, it's very nice. You're going to get punched through a lot of hits onto the wound roll, and hopefully convert those into damage into the unit. Now the final stratagem is the Power of the Machine Spirit. If a unit targets you and they knock you down to half strength, you get to shoot back as if it is within your shooting phase. This does not combine with Mercy's Weakness because that has to be activated in your shooting phase. As you can see from a lot of the buffs, the Whirlwind is a great unit if you've got an objective that is behind cover and hard to target. If you've got an objective placed on that with its OC3, it's going to be difficult to move, and having that consistent out of line of sight shooting that can be buffed so you're more efficient. You can really start targeting units on the board that want to be scoring points or holding objectives, forcing your opponent to use more expensive units that they really want to be digging into your army, placing them on objectives or doing actions instead, really taking the efficiency out of your opponent's list. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any comments, then pop them below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button as it greatly helps the channel. Hit the subscribe button to see any future Warhammer content. Take it easy and see you next time for more grim darkness from the 41st millennium.